Good afternoon. Welcome to our Sunday afternoon show. It's been fascinating me is this, and especially lately I've encountered a lot of it, this insistence of theists. Well, prove that God does not exist. I mean, it always fascinates me. It's almost like someone's asking you to. It's like, well, can you prove that you don't hit your wife? Or how do you prove a negative? I've basically put a couple of thoughts together, and let's go through this and let's see how we're going. So let me just see here. Okay, so today we're going to embark upon this journey that is so absurd. It's literally like trying to find a Wi-Fi signal in the 12th century. And we're talking about this insistence upon proving that God does not exist. So, picture this. You're just minding your own business, scrolling through your feed, and boom, it hits you. It's the ultimate debate club dropout line. Oh yeah? Well, can you prove that God does not exist? It's like being asked to prove that Santa Claus doesn't personally knit every single ugly Christmas sweater. Like where do you start? Where do you even start? It's crazy. Right. So there is a bit of a logical labyrinth that you have to navigate for a moment, right? So when you're proving a negative, especially one as nebulous as the non-existence of a deity, this is like trying to catch smoke with a net. It's a wild goose chase where the goose is invisible, and it might not even be a goose at the end of the day. In the grand tradition of logical discourse, the burden of proof rests upon the shoulders of the person that makes the claim. I can say, yeah, I have an invisible unicorn living in my garage. And, until you can prove me wrong, I have a unicorn. Well, a spoiler alert, I don't have a unicorn living in my garage because they eat far too much and they poop rainbows, apparently. But when it comes to God, suddenly the script flips. We're expected to disprove the existence of an all-powerful, all-knowing being that conveniently leaves no tangible evidence of its existence. It's like being asked to prove that a song doesn't exist because it's stuck in somebody else's head. And let's not forget the classic fallback. Well, you can't prove that God doesn't exist, so therefore he does. I mean, by that logic, my garage unicorn is starting to look pretty real. And let me tell you, she's a liberal with a very bad temper. So why is there this insistence upon this impossible task? Well, it's a very handy way to shut down the conversation. It's a debate strategy with the nutritional value of cotton candy. It's very sweet, saccharine, but it's insubstantial and ultimately nauseates you. Right. So then we move on to what I call the burden of proof boogie. It's a dance craze that's sweeping across the internet and at family dinners. The steps are very simple and easy to learn. So you make a claim, any claim, and then when people ask you for evidence, you shimmy and you shake and you take a step to the left and a step to the right. And then it's almost like the time warp. The pelvic thrust will drive you insane. I claim the existence of this is a la Russell. Says, I claim the existence of a cosmic teapot orbiting Mars. Prove me wrong. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But, let's replace that cosmic teapot with God, and suddenly it's a party foul to ask for a little evidence with your existential claims. The thing is, when you shift the burden of proof, it's like playing tag with somebody who's it, but he refuses to chase anybody. It's a game that goes nowhere, and it leaves the conversation as empty as the unicorn stable in my garage here. But here's where we do our own little two-step. So there is a counter dance that we do. We ask, what evidence do you have for your claim? And then we watch the dance. It is a beautiful thing to behold, my friends. It is this awkward ballet mixed with modern art, this dance of logic and evasion. And let's be very clear, asking for evidence isn't rude, it's reasonable. It's the reasonable foundation of understanding what happens in our universe. Without it, we are just swapping fairy tales, and my unicorn is getting very jealous of all the attention that God is getting. Right, so next, I want to talk about this irritation of intellectual laziness. Just prove that God doesn't exist, they say, as if it's on par with proving that I had pap for breakfast. It's a demand that that reeks of a desire that not to engage and to have a conversation and to think critically about one's own beliefs. It's designed to shut the conversation down. It's intellectually lazy because it puts all the onus on the skeptic, absolving the believer of any need to support their claims. It's like saying, I believe in fairies, and until you can scour every single inch of the earth and show me that they're not hiding, I'm right. Well, I've checked my sock drawer and I didn't find any fairies there. Case closed. It's lazy. It's just an intellectually lazy approach. This approach to debate is like bringing a water pistol to a chess match. It's not just the wrong tool, it's the wrong game. And it shows a fundamental misunderstanding of how evidence, logic, and the burden of proof work. What's truly amazing is the double standard. If I claimed that I had powers of telekinesis, I would be expected to move something with my mind on TV. But when it comes to God, suddenly you can't prove that he doesn't exist is considered a mic drop. Well, it's not. It's the rhetorical equivalent of tripping over the cord and then unplugging the mic. Let's not kid ourselves. This isn't about genuine philosophical inquiry. It's about maintaining a belief without the hassle of having to defend it. It's the intellectual equivalent of putting, when we were kids, we put a sign up outside the door, no girls allowed. It's the equivalent of putting a no girls allowed sign on your treehouse. It doesn't keep the girls out. It just shows everybody that you're not ready to play with them. So, it's very frustrating. So how do we navigate these types of conversations without falling into the traps and stepping, on all the landmines that's laid out? So firstly, remember that you are not obligated to disprove every fanciful claim that people throw your way. Your default position can simply be, I don't believe you, I don't know, show me why I should believe you. Secondly, flip the script and ask for evidence. And when none is forthcoming, then point out that the lack of evidence for something is pretty good evidence not to believe it. So especially, wink, wink, nudge, nudge Christians, especially 2,000 years of absence of evidence is a pretty good reason to say, he didn't go out to buy milk, ye gone. I know it's not conclusive, but it's a start. Thirdly, I love to use humor. I love this unicorn in the garage analogy. I usually say I'll start believing in God when my garage unicorn wins the Durban July. It's a very playful way to highlight the absurdity without getting bogged down with frustration. Fourthly, be patient. Some folks genuinely believe that the burden of proof is on the skeptic. It's a teachable moment, not a battle. So explain how logic and evidence works and why proving a negative, especially an unfalsifiable claim, is a non-starter. And finally, know when to walk away. Some debates are just not worth having, and they're not worth your time. If somebody is more interested in playing an intellectual game of whack-a-mole than they are engaging in an honest conversation, it's okay to tip your hat and say, not for me, exit left stage. Right. So there you have it, right? Our quest through this proving the unprovable never ceases to amaze me. It's it's almost like when you have kids at the playground and it's like yeah, well, my dad is stronger than your dad. No, mine is stronger than yours. No, mine is stronger than yours. It's that kind of tug of war. It's very crazy to see how these events unfold, especially when you're looking at it from a distance. But remember, it's not about winning arguments. It's about truth, fostering understanding, and maybe having a little bit of fun on the way. Keep your wits sharp, your humor ready, and your unicorn must always be fed. Remember, don't let the unicorn go hungry. Until next time, my friends, keep questioning, keep exploring, and as always, remember, if you don't sin, Jesus died for nothing. So it's your duty to go out and sin as much as possible. We'll be back next weekend. And we are, we are going to be carry on doing this. We're going to be interviewing guests. I've been reaching out to a couple of atheists up continent to see if they are prepared to meet with us for an interview. As always, in the Facebook groups, if you guys have any comments, feedback, suggestions, please feel free to message me personally. Leave a comment, subscribe, and we will keep doing this as long as you guys are interested in watching it. Until next week, my friends, take care, stay safe, and keep fighting the good fight, as they say.